Hello and welcome to the second episode of SoCal Spotlight. Let's talk. I'm María Felicia Kelley. We bring you the achievers, the high flyers, the movers and shakers in Southern California in entertainment, sports, business, and politics. And today I'm excited to kick off episode 2 with a true tale of fate, talent, and a mix of good fortune. And some of that good fortune now includes being selected by the one and only Kevin Costner for his latest epic movie, the multi-chapter release, Horizon, an American Saga. So without further ado, it is an honor to welcome Adriane McLean to SoCal Spotlight. Adriane, welcome. So good to have you join us. Hi. Yeah, it's a pleasure. But before we jump into the exciting role that brought you here to chat, I'd like to begin the conversation with what I like to call your baking era. You trained, as I understand, in San Francisco as a pastry chef before moved to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, if I understand correctly, you got discovered as a model.
I mean, yeah. I think model is like a strong word. I got discovered. Why not? I don't want to say discovered. I dabbled. I dabbled on real. We'll say that.
That's very cool. But you know what's so funny? Now you're an actress in demand by Hollywood elite. I mean, from my perspective, that's pretty amazing. That's a huge transition. So first of all, I wanted to know, did I get the rest of that bio correct?
I mean, for the most part. So
yeah,
I was born in New York. My entire family is Jamaican. So I think just cooking and, doing, just having that kind of sense of roots was always there. And so my mom owned a vegetarian and vegan restaurant.
Oh, wow.
In Carolina. And so
cool.
Have her restaurant and wanting to just really just teach people the right way to cook with, and like also be able to have really good flavors, because that's a huge important thing when it comes to vegetarian food, because sometimes you'll get some stuff and it's very bland and people get turned off by it. But like she made a real point to really have strong flavors, using her Jamaican background, but also like Indian cooking and things like that. And so that kind of inspired me to go further into cooking. So I went to culinary school, which took me to San Francisco. And then I love baking. Like, it's funny. I actually don't like the baking part of it. I like the decorating. Oh yeah. So, when it comes to doing that kind of stuff, I'm more of like, okay, just whatever it is, it could taste however it was to taste. I just want to make it look pretty.
So that's great. That is the fun part. That's like me when I wrap like Christmas presents. My whole thing is not about what's inside. It's like actually doing meticulously, folding the paper. My kids are like, how do you wrap like that? It's like, I like to see the finished product. And to be honest with you, I like to just kind of like enjoy it. So, it's like, let's push back opening the present so we can just enjoy, you know what I mean? So it's kind of the same thing.
Are you the person that like you have to take off the tape, or do you like just rip open like
no, I like to exactly. I like to you might want to save the paper, if it's a big piece, you might be able to use it again for smaller boxes.
Mine.
It's funny. Too funny. I know. It is so true. So I understand too, when you were younger, was this high school where you would interview like local officials? You had kind of this interest in being on camera?
My roots definitely start public access television, a program called Relay, which was amazing, run by Ted Magnum. And he had from elementary school kids, probably middle school kids to high school kids, and we would do everything. So we would be the host, we would be the camera people, we would do everything, we would do the directing. So it really got to show us how to run a board for a television show. Mm-hmm. And then we'd also do, I think they called it Teens on the Scenes. Now I think about it, Teens on the Scene. And we go to local council meetings or board meetings, for the government. And they were like, you should do the hosting. And I was like, I don't want to do the hosting. I want to be the director. So like they always want me in both. And so now I'm like, oh, I wish I had more of this case back in the day because I kind of.
That's funny. So they were picking you to be out front all the long.
They were.
Like
I didn't, at the time, like, I didn't need a John on me, So,
yeah, that's great. So then when you were a pastry chef in San Francisco, right, or trained there? And then and then so going to Vegas, was that part of the culinary sort of experience, or did you go to Vegas for a different reason?
My friends from culinary school moved down to Vegas, and so
are there opportunities there?
What is it?
I'm sorry, were there a lot of like baking opportunities, or in the restaurant business, or?
No. Yeah.
Oh, true.
It's easy to get a job, like because there's different restaurants. I mean, there's more restaurants in Vegas, and so it was really easy to be able to get a job. But I had actually started working for the Cheesecake Factory, which is interesting. In San Francisco, because it was one of my internships, and so I was able to transfer with them to Vegas. So I kind of had a job, even though it's not. Cheesecake Factory is a major corporation, and so they do ship out most of their cakes, but it was about the decorating. So I ended up getting it in some kind of way.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's funny because I used to work for Morton's, the steakhouse in New York, and I ended up transferring to their location in Phoenix when I was in the restaurant business. And it's really kind of a good opportunity for people to, like young adults to kind of like explore the country and find and discover new opportunities when you work for a major league chain and corporation like that.
Definitely. I mean, I was able to do it as a corporate trainer. So like open up different locations in different areas. I was able to do that. So I got a lot of traveling and doing that as well. So I understand, I agree with you. It's definitely a good opportunity. Some good roots under you.
That's so cool. So then when you were in Vegas, so then what was the transition? Because I know it seems like you've done a lot of work, or you did a lot of work in Vegas in the entertainment industry. You kind of got your feet wet there and then moved to LA, or how did that happen?
So I actually did it. I actually took classes in Vegas, and then I felt confident enough to move to Los Angeles. And so I transferred with Cheesecake Factory because that was like an awesome opportunity. So I was able to transfer again to Los Angeles. And I think I got most of my training and most of my experience in Los Angeles, in the sense of being able to take some really great classes, understanding, improv a little bit better, working with some like the great teachers that are, well known. So I would definitely say from Cheesecake Factory was what kind of helped me go from San Francisco to Vegas to Los Angeles and still feel secure and have that safety net.
Very cool. And then do you have with training, do you have a particular technique that you follow, or like Stella Adler, or?
I know, right? I would definitely, if I was recommending to any other like newer actors, I would definitely say study them all and then find what's best for you. And then you're going to kind of give your own. I would not say I lean towards one. I kind of use different techniques depending on what is called for. Leslie Kahn, she teaches the thought technique, which is more about having a thought before using the line. Whereas, there's method, which is like actually really using a personal experience and using sensory work to really try to get yourself into a place similar to that situation. So I would say that there's multiple techniques that are used. And then a lot of it's just life, like I'm not necessarily a character actor. So for me, it's more about bringing my real essence to a character versus trying to create something out the box. But those are the characters that I love. I would love to play a character that has multiple personalities, or someone that's a little unhinged, as we was say.
Yeah. And you have a nice range because you've done comedy, you've done, kind of the more serious drama. And you were I just reviewed Art Camacho's movie Ruthless with Dermot Mulroney. And I saw you in the cameo as the police officer who was ready to arrest the main character. I loved it. So it did come about. Art is a great guy. I really appreciate, having contact with him and getting to know him. Do you have how did that come about working with him? Do you have an interest in martial arts, or it just was like the typical the typical, my agent got me cast, or how did that work?
It was kind of the typical thing. It was more through the casting director, and so I met Art first time on set, and then we kept in contact via Instagram. And he is a really big guy. Like again
Yeah.
on set, it was pretty fast, and my role wasn't huge, so I feel like I was there for maybe 5 hours tops, but I feel like most of it was in my dress, was in the trailer, and so maybe like 30 minutes to an hour on set. But it was like getting all the different angles, and there was in the movie, like there's a wrestling scene going on, so that was also there. So my time with him on set was very quick, but I've been able to get to know him on Instagram. He's really kind, and so I'm
Yeah, he really is. He's really a thoughtful man. It's kind of nice to, yeah, he's cool. So then with Dermot Mulroney, did you say the scene you had was like directly with him? So how was that working with him? And was he kind of like your first? Yeah, I bet. Your first well-known sort of person to work with?
I mean, my very first experience on television set was for Ava DuVernay's Queen Sugar, and so I was with that cast. And so for me, like I'd watched them on I'd watch Rutina on oh my gosh, True Blood. So kind of like that was my moment of being starstruck, because I got to work opposite of her, and I was like, oh, I see, so that was my first situation. But definitely with Dermot, he was so lovely. He was so kind. He was just helpful in the moment, to get the best out of all the different angles and things like that. So I enjoyed it for sure.
Very cool. So it sounds like you've just been fortunate to kind of like, do you find like there's been a nice progression in your career where you've kind of worked, and discovered like the next, leap towards the next progression? Or how do you kind of see it in your development?
I mean, I would definitely say that I'm on a beautiful track. I mean, again, I would love to jump to the end. But there definitely has been a nice progression. I mean, I've been very fortunate. And because, I know people that their first roles were literally just one line. And my first scene with Rutina was a 2-page multiple scene kind of, no, it was like more than that. I think it was like 3-page multiple scene kind of thing as my first role.
Wow.
And so since then, I've always kind of had a decent size, even though they label them co-stars now, like they're almost like small guest stars, role for most of the parts. And going back to, working with Kevin Costner on Horizon, that was a no-line role that ended up being a 3-month commitment.
No way.
So I mean, so when you look at the progression, it's like yes, I'm constantly, even if it's just one day of shooting, there's still been multiple scenes or multiple lines. But yeah, I mean, my goal is to be a series regular, so I feel like I'm on track.
Walk on track. Look, that's cool. So speaking of the Costner film, the cinematography was incredible, number one. I mean, but I expected no less, with Dances with Wolves. But it was fun to watch because I saw it in theaters recently. And you were just like in the first series of scenes, it was action packed. So tell us a little bit about, that experience and how you got kind of involved in it, how you got picked by Kevin Costner. That's a huge. And it sounds like he kind of changed the role slightly to kind of fit you. Is that true?
I wouldn't say to fit me. I think it's very generous. I mean, definitely. So I had brains at the time, which was so interesting. And I had gotten it from my agent. And the way my agent works is that it's kind of more of an open casting kind of a thing. So it's kind of like, hey, if you see something on the breakdown that you think fits you, submit for it. And so when it first came out, most of the roles, I think all of the roles were either Caucasian or Native American. And so I was like, okay, well, this doesn't fit me. So I was like moving on. And then I would say I forget the time difference, but it came back again. And the role for Joseph and Joseph's wife was now definitely said African American. And I was, oh, it's cool. But the sides for my role, again, had no lines. And so it was really just calling your husband over because he wanted to go to the dance, and he was having a conversation with some farmers, which is a scene that you see in the very beginning of the movie, or you see the first time you see me on screen. And so I did that in my audition. And then they had the scene for Sienna Miller with the son. They had also given you those sides just because they wanted to see how you would act with lines as well. And so I did that. I did those lines as well. And I will say 100%, I did not pay attention to this audition. Like I was like, oh, okay, sure, it's a movie. Okay, let me rinse it off. And then feel like it took a few weeks, if not a month or more, for me to get some kind of response back. And they were like, hey, they're interested in you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, because as an actor, I've been doing auditions, like there's other opportunities going on, so I completely forget about it. And then I remember finally looking at it, and I was like, wait, Kevin Costner, what the fuck? I already auditioned because it was like the line, but I was like, whatever. I was like, wait, and it was like 4 movies. Like I was like, all this information on this break. But I was like, okay, they're interested in me. And I want to say it was a little bit longer after that. And they were like, they want to book you. And I was just like, oh, okay. And so, you know, scheduling was kind of just like, it was fast, you know, it was super fast. So they were like, you got to be here now for like the fitting. And I was like, okay. And this was all in Utah, like deep into Utah. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, and so I had, you know, I went out, rearranging my life and my schedules, you know, to make this work. Cause it was like
willingly though. Willingly.
Oh, of course, willingly. Like, sorry, gonna go to the Oscar movie. You know, people were like, no, but sure. Oh, so yeah, so I went out there, and then they put us up and everything, and it was this crazy, amazing experience. And so, you know, we did the wardrobe fittings, we did the hair, we did all this stuff, and so I was on set, and I will never forget. And this is my little story. You know, the sets were just amazing. I mean, they built this entire town of tents, and like they built this huge dance hall, which you see in the movie, you know, and they actually built the river. So the river that you see was completely and totally built because they would not let them use the Colorado River. So it's just amazing. I mean, just crazy effort that was put into like this scene, which, as you said, it happens pretty early, you know. So, and so I'm all dressed up, and they call us to set, but like, you know, they had other things that were going on. They were shooting the dance scene with Sienna Miller and her and that group of people. And so I walked towards set, and in my mind, this is how I always tell the story. So in my mind, I see Kevin, you know, but again, there's multiple people on set, so I didn't really necessarily know exactly. But then he turns around and he sees me, and I will put them on everything. The seas parted. Like people just like happened to just kind of walk inside. He was like, and like he like looked at me like he knew me, and he's walking straight up to me, and I'm just like, is this happening? Right? Right. Oh my God. I was like, you were at the reading, right? Like you were at the reading, and I was like, reading? No. He was like, yeah. I was like, I'm playing Joseph's wife. He was like, yeah, I know who you are. It was nice to meet you. Yeah, and so like that was my moment of finally seeing him. Then he went back to shooting with Steve, but I was just like, that is so cool. He asked me now. I was like, oh, that pretty tall, finding generous. I mean, as I said, we shot over a 3-month period. It was
wow,
so generous with the way that he would give you, or he gave us the ability to kind of play. And he was just like, what would you be doing in this situation? You know, like show me what you would do. Yeah, I love that. Like let's keep that. You know what I mean? Because this was really just a paragraph of exposition. You know, like it wasn't necessarily a lot of dialogue. It was more so us trying to survive in this moment. And so he was very collaborative, and like what would we do? And when I ended up picking up the gun, he was like, you're blocking your face. And he was like, come to the video village and like, let me show you. And so like he brought a bunch of us to like watch the playbacks, which is unheard of in most films. So yeah, I mean, I would sing his praises every day.
That's crazy. So did you find yourself like researching more about that time period just to get familiar with like, you know, the African American role in it as well? I mean, would that become of interest to you?
It did. I mean, I definitely like once they booked me, I definitely was like, oh, they changed this role, to African American, and I looked it up, and of course there were definitely African American pioneers, and
Yeah.
so I found it really interesting that he decided to incorporate that even in the small, little bit of this huge project. He was just he's like, no, let's show there that was also something that happened back then in the 1800s.
Right. That's cool. And now you can bring that whole understanding too. You have the Jamaican American, African American background as well. You are of the moment, young lady, with lovely Kamala. So this is an interesting period for us to live through and be a part of, right? Yeah.
You wouldn't get, but November's coming.
That's for true. So true. So, wow, this is so cool. So I saw some of the footage of you on the red carpet. I know you've probably done red carpets before, but this must have been kind of a special event for the premiere of the movie. And I saw the interaction with Sienna Miller and Kevin. You embraced Kevin Costner. That must have been fun just to see. What was that like to go in and watch the premiere with, your other castmates?
Oh, it was magical. First off, this was my first red carpet, and yeah, my first red carpet. I was questioning what to wear. I mean, all the things that you would think somebody, you're kind of just like, is this real? Is this really happening? Do I get a finished? Right? I mean, literally, I had my whole moments of trying to decide if this was really the thing that was on paper, if this was really what I thought this was going to be. So yeah, so for me, it was definitely magical. My lovely friends who would be so mad at me if I didn't mention them, Sabrina and Annie, helped me find the dress. They were wow. And I was like, thank you for helping pick my dress. I had a couple options, and they were like, nope, that one.
Wow, it was like orange, right?
No, it was
beautiful.
Yeah, hands down that one, 100%. Don't pick anything else. That's the one. And I was like, is it too much? I don't think.
Yes. Cool. Was it a special designer?
No, I'm just a dress I had actually bought before and laughing at.
There is beautiful. Very cool. A thumbs up, big time.
Well, thank you. So, yeah,
very cool.
Magical. To be on the red carpet and to just experience that full grandeur of the premiere.
Right. So then for a future check, so these, the Costner film Horizon is divided up into chapters. So I know the second one was supposed to roll out in August, but it sounds like it may be delayed a little bit. Are you in that they shot chapters 1 and 2 already, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then will you be in the third and fourth, or is that to be TBD or?
Yeah. Actually, no, I have not gotten called, even though I will shout out Jimmy, the cinematographer who decided not to show my death scene on camera. So yeah, it is just expected. It's just suspected that we did not make it.
Oh,
yeah.
And then you worked with Joseph, who was your husband in the movie, and how was he to work with? Was that a good experience?
He's so hilarious. He was so lovely to work with. I mean, not only his knowledge in the business, because he's been around for years, and
yeah,
great success with himself. Just his humor. We had long days on set, and so he was just keeping us all laughing and just making jokes and stuff like that. So, but then on set, he was super professional. We're all working together as a team. Very, very kind. He would. There's a scene in the movie where they wanted him to look out a peephole, and he made sure that you could kind of see me through the shot. So so I'm here, and so he wanted to make sure that the shot could also see me, and so he would get right here so that they can still see you. So I thought it was really, really kind of another actor to look out for your fellow actors, on set.
Very, very cool. And he's Antonio Charity, correct? D Charity. Yeah, very cool. I'm gonna give him some props. Very cool. Yeah. So then you produced as well. Did you produce your own series at some point, or is that something that you're still involved in?
Yeah, I currently have 2 series that are online, on
Oh,
YouTube. One is called Dating Games LA. So that was
mhm.
when, I loved as a kid, I loved the, like, choose your own adventure books, like how you could kind of pick things. And so, we made a series about dating where the audience could vote, how you would, uh, handle the next episode, in a dating situation. And again, it was kind of raunchy comedy, which I love. I love comedy. So it was kind of raunchy and fun comedy of us having crazy situations, with significant others or potential suitors, and how you react. But we gave the audience some choices to be able to decide how we kept the series going. So I really enjoyed that. We had 2 seasons of that. And I'm currently doing 2 seasons of the show that I'm working on called The Bench, where it's
Mhm.
2 mothers who are sitting at a park bench and just the weird characters that we meet. So every episode is a little different. It's a new character. Sometimes both of us are in the scene, sometimes both of us are in the episode, sometimes just one of us, and we're texting the friend. Whether it's a hot dad or an oversharing, person, or someone who's more of a Karen. So we just have different situations, and a lot of it's based on real life, but definitely real situations that have happened, or where it's just
That's
like,
cool.
people feel comfortable talking to strangers more so sometimes than they do their family, and so they can become kind of a therapist. Or you overhear things, you're just like, oh, people can hear you, right?
That's great. So are you writing the script as well for that for your kid?
Based. A lot of it's improv based.
Oh, okay.
This is or just like loosely kind of more sketch, I would say. So more sketch in terms of, um, there's an outline of like this of the lines, but then sometimes you'll kind of go off. So yeah, so
Mhm.
that's one of our second season of The Bench.
Very cool. Congrats. So you talked about, your family or background. Are they a big influence in your, the things that you're doing in your progression? And are they here in California, or are they back on the East Coast?
They're still on the East Coast. My family's definitely still on the East Coast. My family's Jamaican, so I will say praise is not like the top of anybody's list. Oh, yeah. So, but I mean, I love them dearly. Like, they have been so supportive, and they support in their own way. But yeah, like, nobody's flying out to see me on the red carpeting strips, but they will support from afar. So I love them for it.
That's good. Well, at least you have that. That's good. And then what about influences within the industry, or actors, or people that, you aspire not to be like, but kind of, you pull from, their work and their creativity? Is there anyone
I
in
mean,
particular?
I love Viola Davis. Like it is my goal for us to do something together. Like, that is definitely the. Like, I mean, I can, like, there's a list of people I want to work with. If you're just talking about people I want to work with, the list is long. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's so many inspiring actors, and I just love how we're in a place where, actors are creating their own projects and trying, especially people of color, are trying to get more, eyes on our our what's the word? Our uniqueness, and
Mhm.
not being seen in such, like, back in the day, it was kind of like, oh, you're a black male, you're a gangster. Whereas, like, now we have the CEOs, we have the presidents, what I mean? Like, we had more, right? We have so many more options. And so I love to see that, especially with someone like Shonda Rhimes, who, like, also, like Bridgerton. Bridgerton is a dream, right? The fact that we have people of color in this era, and multiracial families, and relationships being shown on screen, where I grew up watching, Jane Austen, the Emmas, the Pride and Prejudice,
Right.
Sense and Sensibilities. There was no diversity.
Yep.
Like this is not diverse because it
Yeah.
wasn't diverse. So I love the fact that we're creating content now that can show the diversity, especially with Hamilton. It's like, why do we have to show this as true, but why can't we just tell a beautiful story? So there's so much out there that I'm looking forward to being a part of.
Yeah. And as someone producing and writing or improving your own stuff, that gives you a lot of room to kind of explore and do the things that are interesting to you, and then they become interesting to other people. That's what I love about, being online and the internet, people have the freedom to just try it, see how it works. And then, you get your feedback. People either dig it, don't, or they begin to, you know what I mean? It's kind of it's a great moment, really, for the creative space.
Issa Rae. I mean, Issa
Yeah.
Rae started off with, with Awkward Black Girl, and then it became Insecure. Do you know what I mean? So then it's like we're in a place where you have an idea and you can get it made, and then you never know what's going to happen with it. So yeah.
Right. And that's kind of like the fun of it all. It's kind of, it could feel like touch and go and like, is this something I'm, have the budget to pursue or whatever? But, that's the excitement around, possibilities. So that's cool. So what has been, would you say that the Costner role has been kind of your most notable to date? Or are there other things, something else happened beyond that yet? Or?
Yeah, not yet. I mean, Kevin, like the movie just came out, what are we, like 3 weeks in, I think, or something like that. Like, I don't think, that's not the biggest to date. And I'm looking forward to more.
That's cool. Well, this has been awesome. I guess we kind of touched on who you would like to work with, or you said there's a long list, and hopefully you'll be tackling that, as the days and months progress. So what is it? Is there anything in particular that's on the horizon, pardon the pun, for you now? Or are you kind of just seeing what happens next?
I'm seeing what happens next. Definitely, people have reached out to me and asked me to work on a couple of projects. So we'll see what ends up being, the next one on the docket. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for the future. Just to keep on growing, as you said, and to keep on moving on this path of bigger and better opportunities.
That's awesome. So I guess a couple other questions. One of the other things I do is I run the North County Moms. We're a resource website for busy parents in Southern California, in San Diego specifically. And it's all about kids. And I'm also the author of a children's book series. So, I pour in, things that I do around kids and around special needs. So I was wondering if there's something that you have, like a focus or a cause that you are involved in that kind of get your motor started, or, where are you with anything like that? Extracurricular.
I definitely would say I love motivating younger actors. Like, that's kind of like my passion, is really just, this business is very, very hard. And so if I see someone who definitely has the gumption to really try to make this happen, I'm all about like helping them in any way that I can. And just giving education. Like, recently I've had the opportunity to try to educate people in my community more about building our community, with acting classes and just more resources to try to help the younger generation, because we live in a time where everything's so easily accessible, in the sense of having a TikTok or having and so sometimes people forget, like, there's a lot of work that goes into this, even some of the, people that have millions of subscribers and things like that. It didn't happen overnight. So just trying to educate people in that sense. But like you, I love kids. I mean, if I get a chance to work with kids, I'm always trying to.
Yeah, it's so important, and it's rewarding because you can, you see light up a little kid's face, and it is definitely, it's touches your heart. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in with us and chat with us and get to learn a lot more about you. I think you're just as I read your bio and got to know you through my research, I've just been completely impressed, and I appreciate, that we've had this moment to share together. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, you just reached out to me, so I appreciate the thought that you put into putting this together. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, promise to come back when you have, your next thing that you want to talk about, whether it's your independent production or something else you're involved in on a larger scale. And when your production becomes that much larger, we want to hear all about it. So please don't be a stranger and come back and say hi.
Oh, you.
Okay. Thanks, Adrienne. We'll see you next time. Okay. Bye. Take care.